video on creating chatbots. In the last couple of videos, we talked about how do you build your website completely on your own, even if you don't know how to code, using just a couple of reference websites and Claude Code, and basically get AI to do all of the heavy lifting for you, even if you don't know what an index.html file is, what style sheets are, what CSS files are, what JavaScript is. You can build it, host it, and deploy it for free using GitHub and Vercel. Basically, you get to save on server costs, hosting fees, you fancy website designers and developers and coders, and it really has become so easy to get your own thing up and running, right? Which is a big focus, and one of my big dreams is to help people start something of their own. It can be big or small, it's not about money, but it's about starting something of your own. And building a website is absolutely critical and foundational to that. How do we get our websites to convert better? And one of the best ways to do that is by having a simple chatbot on your site to best answer common customer questions, FAQs, and things like that. You can also use it to capture customer information to follow up with them later. But the main purpose of this video is how do you build your first chatbot for your website to handle simple FAQs. Building chatbots has become so incredibly easy with AI. That's going to be the topic of this video. And without further ado, let's jump right in. So to build our chatbot, what we're first going to do is we're going to come into Anyden and we're going to click on the chat node. So we're going to click on this trigger which says on new chat event. We're going to toggle this on to make chat publicly available. We're going to switch the mode to embedded chat. We will see how to set this up later. Going to click on add field. We can use this allowed origin setting to basically allow only requests coming from our website URL, which may be this domain, or we may have a list of domains in there. But again, for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to leave this empty for now. From a security point of view, you can always ask Claude, ChatGPT, or me inside the 100 AI community about how do you actually set this up. But if you didn't, we can change this from when last node finishes to streaming. And with that, we should have our chat node set up. We are then going to connect it to an AI agent. Now in here, we are going to set a system message. We are going to enable streaming, and the rest of these we are not going to include for now. We will see if we require them later. We can include a fallback model. We don't really need a specific output format. That is fine. Then we will click on this chat model below. So if I come into chat model and I'm just going to use open router, you can use any AI model you would like, our chat model connected, and we can use simple memory. We can set the context window to 5 or 10, and it basically, as it indicates how many past interactions the model receives as context. You may even change that to 10 if you want. So now that we have that all set up, we are just going to save and publish this workflow. Now, for giving the agent, right, which is our chatbot, the actual context about our website, in the past, you might have needed to use a vector database or something like that. But for most local service businesses, you can just paste your entire website content as the context for the agent. But what we are going to do is we are just going to copy all of the content on our website. You can do this with Command A or Control A. We are going to take this into Claude. We are just going to paste the entire content in there and say, hey Claude, can you give me a system message or prompt for a simple chatbot building in N8N that will connect to my website, and it will answer simple customer questions like pricing, time slots available, and just so that we specify, in case I haven't mentioned, open 9 to 5 from Monday to Sunday. And these are basically like common questions customers may have if required, and they need further assistance. Please provide my personal contact number where they can get in touch with me. So this is where you may feel if the chatbots aren't always going to respond 100% correctly, and more often than not, they might make mistakes or they may not know 100% how to answer users. Then a good way is to always escalate it to a human, right? We also want to make sure that any message or query outside the scope of website isn't dealt with or responded to. We may just say something like, that's out of my expertise. Please speak to a qualified person instead. Okay, so we're just going to give it this prompt. We're going to give it all of our website information. We could always include things like our Google Maps link or any other kind of useful information. But the main thing to see here, what I would like us to take away, is the kind of system prompt that we get out of this, that we are then going to feed to our chatbot agent. And then we're going to see how do we connect agent to website. Okay, so Claude, it says you are a friendly and professional virtual assistant for Apex Fitness, an elite performance coaching gym trusted by 2,000 plus athletes worldwide. It says what you can help with: programs and pricing, opening hours and availability, general info. If they need further help, let them know. They can speak directly to a coach or by emailing this. Then it's given some rules like only answer questions to Apex Fitness, programs, pricing, etc. Something outside of the scope, general fitness advice, medical question, nutrition plans, etc. Respond with, that's a little outside my expertise. For personalized advice like that, I'd recommend speaking with a qualified professional. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding Apex Fitness? So then always be warm, encouraging, and concise. Keep responses short unless the user needs detail. Never make up information. If you're unsure, direct them to call or email the team. Do not discuss competitors, make medical claims, or give personal training advice. And it's given it a tone. So what we're going to do now is copy this prompt. We're going to take it over, paste it into our agent. So now if I paste my prompt from Claude into the system message and we just hit publish. And now if I open the chat, this was the previous logs. So what we can do is just reset the chat session and say, hey, can you tell me what time Apex is open? And you can see it's using an AI model and it's responded with absolutely. Apex Fitness is open every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Sunday. If you need to book specific sessions, just let me know, or you can contact them directly. Can you please tell me who can I speak to and what their contact number is? Now, because we also have given it context in a simple memory node, it's going to remember the last 10 messages that go back and forth. It even says, sure, you can speak directly to one of our coaches by calling this number. They'll be happy to assist you with any questions or bookings. If you prefer, you can also email hello@apexfitness.com, right? And if we check our prompt, that's exactly the kind of direction we had given it in opening hours and availability, as well as if they need further help, they can contact this number by calling or by emailing. So these are all ideal case scenarios. Just to test one last message, if we came in here and said, could you please tell me your location? Like if the customer was too lazy to check on Google for whatever reason, it even says, of course, Apex Fitness is located at 123 Elite Avenue, Performance City 90210. Feel free to drop by or reach out if you need anything else. So this is the chat interface, right? Like what it would look like. We were just seeing the output from the AI agent. but this is exactly what the chat would look like. So our chat model works. One last thing to check, and this is why building chatbots is less about building them for ideal case scenarios. You also want to build your chatbots to handle edge case scenarios and queries and testing for queries that the chatbot should not be responding to. So right now, if I ask it, can you give me nutrition or medical advice on how to lose weight? And now you can see that it's even replied with what we directed it. So it says that's a little outside my expertise. For personalized advice like that, I'd recommend speaking with a qualified professional. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding Apex Fitness? Let's just try one more query. Could you please help me this equation? If 5 times x is 25, can you please tell me the value of x? And what we're doing here is trying to throw it off by just asking it random questions. And you can see that it has appropriately handled it. So if some random person tried to give it math homework or something else, it's not going to work, right? Our agent is going to respond with, that's a little outside my expertise. So for personalized advice, I'd recommend speaking with a qualified professional. Is there anything else I can help you with? You can tweak this as and when you like. The main purpose of what I was showing you is how to build at least a V1 chatbot for your website. And now that we have that in place, you will refine your system prompt. You may attach more tools to it. You can give it access to any of your Google Docs, your Drive links, whatever else you feel it may need as context. Calendar booking appointments, like the options are endless. But actually, one of the better ways to do it is to limit the tool access you give it, especially if it's for local service-based businesses. The context required is more than sufficient for you to just put all of that information inside the system prompt, and the chatbot will do just fine in 99, if not 100% of the cases. So that was it for this section on building the chatbot. In the next section, we're going to look at how do we actually connect this chatbot to a website. Okay, so now how do we connect this chatbot to a website? Is we come into this chat node, and it says follow the instructions here to embed the chat. So if I click on this, it's going to bring us to this npm.js page. You don't need to get intimidated by what npm or JS is or anything like that. You just need to scroll down, make sure your workflow is active and published. So we've published it. You can see that here. Once it is published and active, one of the easiest ways to do it is just use this CDN embed. So what we are going to do is just copy all of this. We are going to come back into anti-gravity or VS Code. We can start a new session. This is a CDN link that I need to embed in my website to allow a chatbot I've built to be connected. You don't even need to give it the additional context, but we're going to give it anyway. And the only other thing we need to do is replace this with our production webhook URL. We're going to copy this chat URL, as you can see here. So once we copy that chat URL and paste it in here and hit enter, Claude is going to do its thing. And then we will come back and see the results of what changes Claude has made. So Claude has finished making its changes. You can see in the index.html file, it's added this link to the CDN, and it has also just updated this to include everything that was given inside this JS file on this website. So all of this script type module, you can see it has added in here to the index.html, and basically it's just embedded it. So it says the N8N chat widget is now embedded. The CSS is loaded in head, and the script initializes the chat just before body. Open index.html in a browser, and you should see the chat bubble appear in the right hand corner of the website, and just hit refresh. Local copy, the one that we are working on, you can see that we have this chat bubble in here. So now if we click it, you can see that we have this, hi there, start a chat, we are here to help you 24/7. And now if we type our question in and say, hey there, can you please tell me your timings, and hit enter, you can see that it's thinking, but I don't know what the response is that we have received. It is giving us this entire JSON kind of object. So we will debug this and fix it and be right back. Okay, so to show you what the issue was, is basically what I did with Claude Code. It asked if we're using a custom webhook instead of chat trigger, but we're not, we're just using the chat functionality. So then I pushed back again and sent it a screenshot of my AI agent setup as well as the automation. And then what it said was the issue was likely the enable streaming setting was turned on. So inside AI agent, prior to this, we had this enabled streaming on, and that was the issue. But the thing is, if you disable the enabled streaming in the AI agent, you also need to disable streaming inside the chat trigger. So here, when we had set this up, usually under our response mode, we had streaming, but now we've changed that to when last node finishes. And so those were the two changes we needed to make in order for this to work. So because this wasn't a known limitation, right? When we saw it in action inside N8N, when we were using it here, it worked fine. So that's what I asked Claude later. Is there a way for the chat window to handle streaming responses elegantly, right? Because it makes for a much smoother interface when you see answers coming through in a streamed manner. But Claude just applied with the short answer is the default N8N chat widget doesn't support streaming elegantly, and it's a known limitation, and gave us a few examples. So it just suggested to turn off streaming, and maybe later we might build a custom chat. But for the time being, the simplest way is to turn off streaming. And to be honest, when you're using it again for local service business websites and things like that, which are handling simple FAQs and stuff like that, you don't need complex responses for the most part. I think it's always a good idea to leave the complex streaming and stuff like that for like when you have a core AI business or core AI chat driven business, then you may need to build the streaming functionality. But that's when you would use a more coded approach rather than building a simple chatbot. The purpose of the chatbot is usually low-hanging fruit, customer inquiries and stuff like that. Exactly what we've built this for. So now that we've made these changes and disabled it, let's come back into application and just give it a shot again. So I'm going to refresh our page and I'm just going to ask it what your timings, hit end, and you can see it's given us a pretty smooth response. Can you tell me who to contact and how? And it's given us some contact information, right? So this works exactly like how we tested it in N8N, but basically by building this simple chatbot, which takes like literally 2 or 3 nodes inside N8N and a 1 or 2 click command setup within Claude Code, we now have a chatbot embedded into our website as well. So just to give you a quick summary of everything we've done so far, which is amazing. We've learned to build a website completely from scratch without needing fancy designers, fancy web developers, fancy coders, or anything like that. We learned how to design it and develop it in Claude Code, even if you're not a developer. The next part was we saw how to use GitHub and Vercel to host and deploy our application so that we don't have to pay server space, hosting fees, or anything like that. And then to make our websites likely convert better, we've now added chatbots to them as well to help answer basic customer queries, including providing contact information so that they can get in touch if they're ever stuck. And I think this makes for a much more personal experience. Like everyone talks about losing the personal touch with AI, right? But when you have features like this on a simple, elegant website and landing page, where you make it easy for your customers to get the information they're looking for, to get in touch with you easier. Like, I don't know how that's not a win-win for everyone. but maybe I'm biased. You've learned how to implement this. Now you can do this for other local businesses, for your mom and pop stores, for maybe a distant relative. You can also have the joy of being able to build one of these for your friends and their business ideas. I remember the joy I got when I first built my website for my best friend right around COVID, but you've heard that story before, so I'm not going to get into it now. But basically, learning these skills are just invaluable, in my opinion, right? You now have everything you need to get a fully functional website and all of the tools required to not only start getting leads and customer inquiries, but once you get on calls with these people, once you start talking to them, once you see if you can solve their problems, you're one step closer to truly starting something of your own.